My name is Haley Steinfeld, and the day I tried to move out, my mom didn't just insult me. She quietly rerouted my mail, got into my bank access, and made me look unstable to everyone who mattered. I didn't argue. I built a paper trail. If you've lived something like this, share your experience in the comments. Plastic lids snapped onto the last container of rice and chicken while my phone buzzed on the counter. The message from a Bushwick sublet was blunt. Hold until Friday, 5 p.m. Deposit required. Denise Carter leaned on the doorway, robe tied tight, watching me pack like I was stealing her groceries. I didn't look up when I said it. "Mom, I'm moving out." She let out a little laugh that wasn't funny. "Without me, you won't last a month." No yelling, no tears, just that line. My hands kept working. I reached for the yellow envelope I'd always kept in the junk drawer. Big block letters, important documents, because arguing doesn't pay deposits. The drawer slid open and showed nothing but rubber bands and expired coupons. I shut it, opened it again like the papers might appear out of shame. Where are my documents? Denise didn't even blink. I put them somewhere safe. You rush around and lose things. I set the containers into my tote, then turned. On the kitchen table sat a USPS change of address form. My name was on it. A signature was on it. Denise's hand moved over the page a second too fast. "Why is that there?" "It's nothing," she said, already stacking mail into a neat pile like that solved it. My phone vibrated again. Banking app alert. Account temporarily locked due to credential changes. I tapped, tried my password, tried again. Same red message. A second later, an email slid in from the Bushwick landlord. "Haven't received the deposit. I'm giving it to someone else." Denise watched my screen the way people watch a poker table. "You should have told me you were doing all that," she said. "I did, just now." Her mouth tightened. Then she softened it, like she was practicing. "I went to the Jackson Heights post office this morning," she started, then switched tracks. I picked up medicine." The doorbell app on her phone lit up on the counter. The little live view grayed out with one word, offline. Denise flipped it face down. I grabbed my keys. "Give me my papers." "Not while you're acting like this." "Acting like what? Paying my own rent? Working night shifts?" I didn't ask. I just slid my tote strap onto my shoulder. She nodded toward a cardboard case of ramen by the fridge, stacked like emergency supplies. "See, I think ahead," she said. At least she'd made one accurate prediction about my menu. As I headed for the door, Denise followed, voice suddenly sweet. "Text me your new address. I can still send you things." My thumb hovered over my contacts, then dropped the phone into my pocket instead. The front steps were cold under my shoes. I called the bank, got an automated voice, and jogged down the stoop while the line rang. An option popped up. "Appointment available tomorrow, 9 a.m. I hit confirm, hard, as the door behind me slammed shut and the call finally connected. By the time the bank rep stopped reading from her script, the only useful thing she'd said was, "Come in tomorrow at 9. I showed up the next morning running on coffee and spite because the deposit clock didn't care. The Madison Avenue branch was all stone and soft voices. A banker in a blue tie pulled up my account and kept his tone friendly, like this was routine. "Ms. Steinfeld, we received a request to change your address and phone number," he said. "It was confirmed by phone yesterday." "That wasn't me," I said. "My phone never left my hand." He clicked through a few screens. "There's also an emergency contact on file," he said. "Denise Carter." My mother's name sitting in my banking profile made my stomach drop. To him, she was just next of kin, the kind of person who brings soup and signs forms. "I need that reversed," I said. "I need my account back today." He slid paperwork across the desk. "We can open a fraud claim," he said, "but you have 48 hours to file, or the change becomes validated." He offered a reference number and a pamphlet about identity theft. I asked which phone number had confirmed it. He read it back, an old one Denise had insisted I keep for emergencies. When I requested the recording, he shook his head. "We don't release calls without legal process." He printed the new contact info anyway, as if handing me evidence was the same as fixing the problem today for me. My phone buzzed while he spoke. The Bushwick landlord's message was short. Room is gone. Found someone with cash. Another buzz followed. My night shift manager. Haley, call me. He answered on the first ring. Your mom called, he said. She said you've been unstable, that you might no-show. I've worked every shift, I said. You've got my time cards. I know, he said, and the annoyance came through. Just don't bring drama here. Drama? Like it's a condiment I'd asked for on the side. By noon, my family group chat lit up. A cousin wrote, Your mom is crying. What did you do? Then my aunt, Call your mother. She's worried sick. Nobody asked what happened at my end. Denise had already laid out the version where she was concerned and I was reckless, and everyone picked the story that required the least thinking. On the train back to Brooklyn, I saved screenshots of everything. The bank alert, the landlord email, the manager's call time. A stop later, I walked into the laundromat near my place because my work shirt still smelled like fryer oil. Marisol Vega was there, feeding quarters into a machine with the patience of a woman who'd survived worse than bad soap. She glanced at the stack of papers in my hand. You look like you got hit by paperwork, she said. Something like that. I didn't mean to unload on her. The facts came out anyway. Locked account, missing documents, my mom's name tied to it. Marisol waited until I finished, then asked, What proof do you have besides your memory? I have emails, I said, and an account I can't access. Good, she said. Now make it real. Screenshots, printouts, call logs, dates, times. Don't argue, document. She said it like giving directions. That afternoon, I went back to the bank and pushed until they printed a request change summary. The confirmation location sat at the bottom in small text. Jackson Heights. Same place Denise had not gone. Marisol read over my shoulder. Congratulations, she said. You just got your identity stolen by the woman who named you. My phone buzzed again. Denise had texted, I'm only helping you. Come home and talk like an adult. Love, Mom. A heart was typed at the end, like it could soften a lockout. The calls started right after. Mom. Then again. Then again. With the printouts in one hand and my laundry bag in the other, I walked to a legal aid office off the J line. The door was unlocked, the phone lit up one more time, and I held the power button until the screen went dark as I stepped through. Legal aid didn't do pep talks. The woman at the front desk took my folder, copied my ID, and slid a clipboard back like she'd seen 1,000 panicked 20-somethings before breakfast. A staff attorney named Priya waved me into a small office and said, Start with dates. So at the library down the block, I created the account, verified my identity, and watched confirmation emails pile up. One of them hit like a slap. It listed an active change of address from my mom's Queens address to a P.O. box under Denise Carter's name. Filed days before I'd even said the words, I'm moving out. Priya printed the USPS history and pointed at the timestamp. This was submitted the same morning your bank info changed. Another email confirmed the P.O. box rental, right around the hour Denise had claimed she was buying medicine. My missing drawer suddenly made sense. So did her chirpy question about my new address. That night, Denise started tightening the screws. An aunt called to invite me to family dinner in Queens, like it was a holiday and not an intervention. Denise texted 5 minutes later, Apologize to everyone. Stop making me look bad. Then she added a threat dressed up as concern. If you keep accusing me, I'll tell your manager you've been taking tips. I don't want you ruining your own life. Marisol listened to the voicemails with her arms crossed. She's escalating because you're close. Bring paper. Keep your mouth shut unless it moves the story forward. I went anyway, not to fix the relationship, but to hear her say the wrong thing out loud. Phone went into my jacket pocket with the voice recorder running. Denise had set the table like a magazine spread, smiling too wide at my cousins. Look who decided to show up. Her eyes flicked to my hands, checking for luggage. I sat, unfolded the printed USPS history, and slid it across the table. Why did you file a change of address to your P.O. box? Denise's face crumpled on cue. "What are you talking about?" She looked at my aunt like I'd slapped her. "She's being cruel." Aunt Linda reached for Denise's hand and glared at me. I tapped the line with Denise Carter's name on it. "It's right there." Denise inhaled, then reset. "I did it so you wouldn't get scammed. People steal mail." A cousin nodded like she'd cracked the case. Denise leaned forward, voice low and triumphant. "I've seen what comes for you, those letters from that fashion company. You don't know who you're dealing with." Protection, she called it. I called it surveillance with casserole. Denise's phone buzzed and she snatched it up, turning the screen away. I watched her thumb hover over a number saved as bank support. After dinner, Priya filed the fraud claim with me on speaker. The bank thanked me for protecting my account, then froze transfers while they investigated. Rent money sat in limbo. That's standard. And it's going to hurt. You need the originals, birth certificate, social security card, passport, by Monday at 10. On the walk back to the train, my phone came back to life and started spitting notifications. A room share listing in Bed-Stuy had agreed to meet me that night, but the app refused my payment. Payment failed in all caps, like it was proud of itself. A text followed from the guy renting the room. "If you don't have the money by tonight, don't bother coming." I stood on my mom's front sidewalk in Queens and stared at the screen until the letters blurred. Denise was talking behind the door, telling someone how hard she'd tried. My phone lit up again with her name, and my finger hovered over decline. Instead, I pulled my coat tighter and headed for the subway stairs, my folder thumping against my leg with each step. 2 stops later, the J train spat me out near my night job. I clocked in and started wiping down the counter, pretending my phone wasn't a brick in my pocket. 10 minutes into the shift, my manager, Dale, jerked his chin toward the back. "Office. Now." His little room had a desk, a safe, and a look he didn't bother to soften. "Someone called," he said. "Said you've been taking tips off tables, and that you might be unstable." "I don't touch tips," I said. "I don't even take cash. You know that." Dale slid his phone across the desk. A missed call log showed Denise Carter. He didn't say her name like my mother. He said it like a customer complaint. "I'm putting you on leave," he said, "until we sort it out." "What does sort it out mean?" I asked. "Bring proof," he said. "ID, social, whatever HR needs." The word whatever landed wrong, because whatever was the exact stuff Denise had locked away. The shift ended before it started. My apron went into my bag. Outside, the bedshare guy from earlier texted again. "Last chance. Payment tonight or I'm done." The banking app showed transfers frozen. Another "payment failed" flashed when I tried a different account. The room was gone before I reached the corner. On the ride back to Brooklyn, 3 relatives called in a row. I let them go to voicemail. The 4th was Aunt Linda, and she didn't wait for me to answer. "Your mother is scared," she said. "Stop attacking her." "I'm not attacking her," I said. "I'm trying to get my documents back." "She's protecting you," Linda snapped. "You always act so cold." Cold. That was the word people used when you didn't cry on command. When I got to my building, Marisol was on the stoop smoking, like she'd been expecting me. "Tell me," she said. The apron came out of the bag. The suspension notice from Dale, scribbled on a receipt paper, came out too. Marisol read it, then nodded once. "She used your job to herd you," she said. "Next, she'll use housing." A car door slammed across the street. 2 of my cousins climbed out, carrying a grocery bag like it was an offering. Denise had turned my family into delivery drivers. "Haley," one of them called, "come talk to your mom." Marisol stepped between them and the steps. "She's not talking tonight," Marisol said. "Go home." They tried again. Softer. Like volume was the only problem. "Mom says she's worried," my cousin said. "She turned off the doorbell thing because you were stalking her house." That phrase snagged. The doorbell app had said offline the moment I reached for my papers. Not broken, turned off. Marisol glanced at me. "See?" she said. Upstairs, my phone filled with texts from Denise. Please come home. You're ruining your life. I can fix this if you stop. Priya from Legal Aid emailed a checklist. Birth certificate replacement through the city clerk, Social Security card request, passport report as withheld, USPS complaint, bank fraud affidavit. She added one line at the bottom: do not confront her alone again. Muddy Soul printed the email at her place and slid the pages into my folder, then wrote her own list on a sticky note. Start with what you can replace, she said, then report what you can't. Keep every message. Where do I sleep? I asked. Muddy Soul didn't offer her couch. She opened a housing app, filtered to the cheapest rooms, and pointed. This one, she said, cash deposit, no transfer. An hour later, a stranger in Brooklyn led me up 3 flights to a room barely bigger than the mattress. I handed over wrinkled bills from my emergency stash and got a key that didn't match any other keys on the ring. My bag hit the floor. 2 alarms went on, one for the diner shift, one for the stockroom shift I'd begged for tomorrow. The laptop opened on my knees. A new folder appeared on the desktop. Evidence. Screenshots, emails, call logs, printouts, everything dragged in while my phone lit up again with Mom buzzing against the mattress as my cursor hovered over Upload. It finished, one by one, screenshots, emails, the bank printout, while my phone kept vibrating against the mattress with Mom's name. The room smelled like cheap detergent and old carpet, but there wasn't time to care. 2 alarms were set for later. The first would get me to a diner shift I'd begged for, the second to a stockroom shift that paid cash at the end of the week. I muted the phone, copied every voicemail into a notes file, and hit save on a spreadsheet labeled Timeline. Then I shut the laptop, laid my uniform out, and slept in my jeans. The diner had me pouring coffee for commuters who never looked up, and the stockroom had me lifting boxes until my wrists tingled. When the sky started turning gray, I rode back to Brooklyn and checked the mailbox on the first floor. Empty. No forwarded letters, no replacement cards, no miracle check. My banking app stayed frozen, like it was punishing me for asking questions. Back upstairs, my phone showed 0 new deposits and 12 missed calls. Denise left a voicemail that sounded calm enough to pass for love. I deleted it, washed my face, and sat at the desk. That desk was where it finally clicked that my problem wasn't money or rent. It was access. Denise didn't have to win an argument. She only had to keep me exhausted and embarrassed until going home felt like relief. Leaving her as my emergency contact had been the first mistake. Letting her store my papers for safekeeping was the second. The worst one was treating her boundary crossings like bad manners instead of tactics. I opened my folder again, not to reread, but to choose what I would do next. No speeches, no family meeting, just paperwork, deadlines, and consequences. Marisol knocked around noon with a bag of oranges and the look she got before telling someone the truth. She listened while I showed her the USPS history and Priya's checklist. Then she pointed at the line that said P.O. Box and circled the address with my pen. Jackson Heights, she said. That post office has cameras and clerks. To open or close a box, she had to show ID. She can cry at your aunt all day, but she can't talk her way out of a log. Marisol slid me a name of a window clerk she knew. Priya advised putting every request in writing, so I drafted an email to Denise that read like a business note. No accusations, no pleading. Return my Social Security card, birth certificate, and passport by Monday at 10 a.m., I wrote. Do not redirect my mail. Do not contact my employer. I sent it, then printed a copy for my file and took a photo of the sent screen. Marisol drove me to a shipping store so I could mail the same demand, certified, signature required, to her Queens address. The clerk stamped the receipt and I slid it into a folder. Next came the forms that turned my story into a case. Priya helped me file the fraud affidavit with the bank, and we requested the change of address record directly from USPS. I filed an identity theft report online, attached the printouts, and noted Denise's phone number. Marisol sat across from me and kept me moving when my hands slowed. Don't argue with her, she said. Argue with agencies. By late afternoon, reference numbers covered my notes, and my bank promised a callback within 2 business days. Priya warned reporting mail fraud would trigger heat, and Denise would feel it fast. Sunday evening, I packed the folder, my ID, and the last of my cash, then rode the subway to Jackson Heights. The post office sat between a bakery and a cell phone shop, lights still on behind the glass. I checked the time, 8:42 a.m., Monday, 10:18 minutes before Priya's deadline. My phone buzzed again with Mom, but the screen stayed face down. At the entrance, I pulled up the USPS Inspection Service number, took a breath, and stepped toward the counter, folder in hand, ready to ask about Denise's box. The clerk looked up, and I said my name. The clerk at the Jackson Heights post office read my printout, asked for my ID, and disappeared with it. When she came back, she didn't look sympathetic. She looked practiced. "We can confirm a PO. Box exists under that name," she said. "We can't give you mail from it." "I'm not asking for the mail," I said. "I'm asking for the record." She slid a form toward me. "Submit this," she said. "Inspection Service handles fraud. Keep your copies." By the time I got back to Brooklyn, Priya had already emailed an update from the bank's fraud unit. It wasn't a single change. It was a pattern. The attachment listed an address change, a phone change, and then 2 new accounts opened in my name, a store credit card and a small personal loan inquiry. Both had the same mailing address, Denise's P.O. box. Marisol leaned over my shoulder at the table and pointed at the line item. "That's the point," she said. "Not your rent, not your pride, your name." The ramen case in my mom's kitchen finally made sense, too. A prop for the story that I couldn't function. The soft request for my new address wasn't about sending sweaters. It was about cutting off anything that helped me leave. Bank letters, replacement cards, job mail, any offer that came in an envelope instead of a text. My phone buzzed with an unknown number. I answered because I was out of good options. "This is Officer Henson," a man said. "Are you Haley Steinfeld?" "Yes." "We received a complaint from Denise Carter," he said. "She says you've been harassing and threatening her." "Threatening her how?" I asked. "Showing up repeatedly, demanding property, yelling," he said. "She's requesting you stop contacting her." "I sent an email asking for my documents back," I said. "That's the contact." "You can tell it to legal aid," he replied. "For now, don't go to her house." Marisol watched my face, then reached for my phone when I hung up. "Screenshot your call log," she said. "Write down his name." Another call came in right after. Aunt Linda. "Your mother filed a report," she said, breathless, like she'd run to the phone. "What are you doing to her?" "I'm asking for my own papers," I said, and she opened credit in my name. Linda lowered her voice. "Denise didn't do that," she said. "She's been helping you. You're stressed and imagining things." Marisol mouthed the word witness and shook her head once, slow. A text landed from Denise before I could respond. "Stop. If you keep this up, I'll tell that fashion company you're applying to that you're unstable. I'm trying to save you from yourself." The threat wasn't even creative. It was just targeted. I had applied for an assistant opening with an international fashion brand that had a New York office. The interview wasn't scheduled yet, but a recruiter had asked for a credit check authorization as part of onboarding paperwork. Denise had been reading my mail long enough to know which nerve to press. Priya called a few minutes later. "Your mother just made this harder," she said. "A police report muddies the timeline, and the bank moves slower when there's a dispute narrative." "So what do?" I asked. "You keep it formal," Priya said. "No visits, no arguments, certified mail, written demands, reports through proper channels." She explained what the bank needed: continuity, dates that didn't wobble, proof that the P.O. box wasn't incidental, proof that the call confirmations weren't mine. Some records would take time, some could come back redacted. Meanwhile, the new credit accounts could age into real damage if they weren't flagged fast. Marisol set a legal pad on the table and wrote in block letters, "No more asking." "Send a demand letter through Priya," she said. "Then let agencies do what families refuse to do." We drafted the letter together. Priya reviewed it, added language, and arranged service. Another packet went to USPS fraud. Another went to the credit bureaus with a freeze request. Every receipt got stapled to a page. Every voicemail got logged with the exact time. Denise kept calling anyway, leaving messages that sounded calm enough to fool strangers. That evening, while I was uploading one more bank document to Priya's portal, an email popped up from the fashion brand's HR address. The subject line made my stomach tighten. Pre-employment verification. Action required. It asked me to explain discrepancies tied to my identity and credit record before moving forward with my application, and the deadline sat in bold at the bottom as my phone started ringing again with Mom. The HR email stayed open while my phone rang again. I forwarded it to Priya and typed back to the recruiter, asking for a meeting and attaching my fraud case number. Priya called 5 minutes later. "Don't explain feelings," she said. "Explain documents." She scheduled a joint appointment at my bank branch with their fraud specialist and a USPS inspector liaison who could confirm the mail record. Marisol rode with me to print everything twice, then 3 times. By nightfall, my folder was thick enough to bend. The step was making Denise show up where tears didn't count as evidence. Priya drafted a certified demand letter. Return my documents. Stop redirecting mail. Stop contacting my employer. I sent a copy by email, too, because Denise loved pretending she never got things. Then I texted her one message, plain and boring. "The bank needs you to explain the address and phone changes," I wrote. "Appointment, Friday, 11:30 a.m., Midtown Branch. Come if you want this cleared up." She replied within a minute. "Of course, I'll be there. I'm your mother." Marisol read it and said, "Good. Bring witnesses, not cousins." I printed her reply and stapled it behind my USPS form. Friday came fast. The branch had a small conference room with a table and 2 chairs too many. Priya wasn't allowed to attend, but she emailed talking points and stayed on standby. The fraud specialist, Mr. Kim, introduced himself and started recording notes. A postal inspector named Alvarez joined by phone. Marisol sat beside me, not speaking unless asked. Denise arrived 10 minutes late, dressed like church, holding a tote bag and a smile. "Hi, sweetheart," she said. "Thank God you're finally listening." Mr. Kim glanced at me. I slid my folder across the table and opened it, page 1. First, I handed over the USPS change of address history and the P.O. Box confirmation request. Then came the bank printout showing my address and phone replaced, followed by the application numbers for the store card and loan inquiry. Mr. Kim read without reacting. Alvarez asked, "Do you recognize this mailing address?" "No," I said. "It's Denise's." Denise scoffed. "This is ridiculous," she said. "She's been spiraling. She forgets things." Marisol didn't look at her. She looked at Mr. Kim like, "Keep going." Mr. Kim nodded and asked Denise, "Did you submit any of these changes?" Denise smiled wider. Her tote rustled. Denise pressed a hand to her chest. "I was trying to protect her," she said. "She rushes into bad situations. I managed her mail so she wouldn't get scammed." Mr. Kim asked, "Did you request the address change?" Denise looked at me. "Tell them how you've been acting," she said. "You yelled at me." Alvarez asked, "Did you rent the P.O. box?" Tears appeared. "Yes, for my bills," she said. "She's obsessed with blaming me." Denise reached for my folder. I pulled it back. "Don't," I said. Mr. Kim asked, "Do you have consent?" Denise tried, "I'm her mother, period." Alvarez's voice came sharper over the speaker. "Ma'am, the P.O. box was opened with your ID and your signature on the rental card." Mr. Kim added, "The verification call came from Denise Carter's number." Denise talked over him. "I don't remember." Mr. Kim raised a hand. "We have the logs." He slid a statement to me and asked for my signature. Denise leaned close. "You're doing this to your mother." I kept my tone flat. "Next time you help, use your own name. My credit needs to breathe." Mr. Kim stapled the papers and said, "We're closing access today. Now." Mr. Kim left and came back with a guard and an envelope. "Ms. Carter," the clerk said, "you've been served notice to preserve records and cease contact through this account." Alvarez explained the next steps for mail fraud and flagged the P.O. box. Denise stood, chair scraping. "This is abuse," she said. "She's abandoning me." Nobody answered. Marisol gathered my copies. My phone buzzed with another HR email, and Mr. Kim pointed. "Forward it," he said. Denise grabbed her tote and headed for the exit. The guard shifted closer as Mr. Kim began reading the notice aloud, line by line. Mr. Kim finished reading the notice while Denise stood by the door, mouth open like she still expected someone to rescue her. The guard didn't touch her. He didn't need to. She grabbed her tote and walked out fast, eyes fixed on the marble floor. Marisol and I left right after. Outside, my phone buzzed with a new email from HR. I forwarded the bank's case number, the USPS reference, and Mr. Kim's written confirmation that the changes were fraudulent. 10 minutes later, the recruiter replied, "Thank you. We'll proceed once the investigation notes are on file." That was it. No sympathy, no lecture, just process. Denise tried for sympathy anyway. She called Aunt Linda from the sidewalk, loud enough for anyone near the revolving door to hear. "She's destroying me," she said. Linda didn't echo it this time. She looked at the envelope in my hand and asked Denise one question. "Why was your box getting Haley's mail?" My uncle stared at the printout, then lowered his eyes too. Denise's face hardened, then softened again, like a switch. The performance had worked for years. It just didn't work next to paperwork. Within a week, the bank removed Denise as emergency contact and locked my profile behind in-person verification. USPS flagged the P.O. box for review. A postal investigator called me back, took my statement, and told me to keep every receipt and every text. Denise had to sign a notice to stop redirecting my mail. She also returned the yellow envelope shoved into my cousin's grocery bag like it was a lost scarf. Dale at the diner cleared me after I showed him the fraud packet. "Your mom's a piece of work," he said. "She's creative," I said. My number changed that afternoon. Denise got one final email drafted by Priya stating boundaries in plain language. No holding my documents, no contact with employers, no access to accounts, all communication through legal aid. Then her number went into a block list, along with half my relatives. Family dinners stopped being invitations and started being background noise. Work didn't get easier, it got simpler. Stockroom shifts, diner shifts, sleep, repeat. When a coworker offered extra hours, I took them. When an assistant position opened at a mid-tier label, I applied with a folder of references and a credit freeze that finally made sense to HR. A year after Denise said I wouldn't last a month, my title changed from temp to assistant at an international fashion house with an office in Midtown. The first week was errands, garment bags, calendar chaos. The second week, a director asked who could handle a last-minute shipment problem without panicking. "Haley can," someone said. 3 months later, they sent me to Paris for a short run of fittings and meetings. I landed at Charles de Gaulle with 2 suitcases, 1 laptop, and the habit of double-checking everything. In the apartment, a transit map sat on the table. My mom had been right about one thing. I couldn't survive a month without her. Turns out, all I needed was a different continent. The next morning, I wrote Denise a resignation letter, the kind you send to a job you're leaving for good. No anger, no history, just terms. "I resign from any role that requires me to justify my boundaries," I wrote. "Do not contact my workplace. Do not access my finances. Do not hold my documents. If you need to communicate, use Priya's office." I printed it, signed it, and mailed it from a corner post office near Rue de Rivoli. Then I bought a postcard with the Eiffel Tower on it, because I'm petty in controlled doses. On the back, one sentence: "I'm still alive, and I'm doing better than you thought." No response came. Not a call, not a text, nothing routed through legal aid. Just silence, the kind that happens when someone loses leverage. That night, after the last fitting, I opened my contacts, scrolled past Mom, and deleted the entry. The phone went into my coat pocket, the laptop closed. I stepped out onto the sidewalk with my work badge and my keys and kept walking.